When you're running a business, it's 90% finances and 10% business. You look at the numbers more than you actually do the business, more than you're doing your actual job. So with that said, I've actually learned most of this over the last year and a half, having to be in it every day for more than half of the day. So please take good notes, write on the back of this. Or if you got spirals, take notes. So we did the enter your name, the book drawing. Okay, we're going to be doing the books after the presentation. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's kick it off. Financial guidance course. We're not starting at 2 p.m. We're starting now. So disregard that. All right, guys, I got 3 simple steps. This whole thing is summed up in 3 simple steps, 3 basic steps that will allow you to get where you need to go, and that's the ultimate goal is to start saving. So get out of debt, stay out of debt, and save. Now, the reason I chose to do it this way is because regardless of where you are, let's say if you're not in debt, but let's say you're staying out of debt. You don't owe anybody anything, maybe just your mortgage. You're out of debt, but you're not saving yet. We want to get you from staying out of debt to saving, so you guys don't get from staying out of debt into debt because you're not saving. So our goal is to get you from getting out of debt to staying out of debt to saving. So regardless of where you are in these 3 steps, it'll allow you to progress 1 step forward. So we're going to start getting out of debt, and I'm just going to hit some of the basic, known stuff that you guys typically know about getting out of debt. What is debt, and a couple definitions. So debt, something that is owed, such as money, goods, or service. An obligation to pay or perform something, a liability. Now, keep in mind that word liability is going to be a huge key factor to you making it or breaking it, basically. It's going to be a huge key factor to you staying in debt or saving. And I'll hit more on that, as we get more into the presentation. So somebody give me a few examples of debt, guys. Student loans. Car payment. Mortgage. Credit card. Awesome. So the 3 most popular debts are mortgage, car payment, and credit card, guys. All 3 were just said. Good job. Now, perfect Bible verse for this. It will nip 99% of debt right at its core. Because when you typically get, so do not be one who shakes hands and pledge or put up securities for debts. Do not be one of those who make promises to guarantee loans for debts. Guys, what do you do when you apply or you go get a loan or try to go borrow money? The first thing that you usually have to do is you have to put down a down payment. Do not be the one who shakes hands and pledge or puts up securities for debts. What are you doing when you put down a down payment? You're putting up a security. Do not be one of those who promises to guarantee loans for debts. In different words, you're putting down a down payment to say, okay, I can pay you back. This Bible verse just cut debt right under its feet, guys. Don't put down any securities for debts. Typically, if you don't put down a security, if you don't put down a down payment, you won't be able to get the debt anyway. So, perfect Bible verse for that. Top 3 reasons for debt. Why people go into debt. Taught that there is good debt. How many times have you known someone, hey, I got this good debt, or I've got that bad debt? If you're taught that there is good debt, it allows you to categorize good and bad. So let's say if you're brand new into debt, you're just not getting out of the house, and you say, okay, the only thing that I see as good debt is a mortgage. Okay, so you go get you a mortgage. 3 or 4 years later, you're now at the point you say, okay, well, the only thing that I see as good debt is a mortgage, a car payment, credit cards, and all this stuff. So now you're saying when the opportunity comes, you will allow yourself to get those debt. So if you put debt in the category of good or bad, it's getting emotions towards debt versus debt just being debt. All debt is not good, period. You're putting it in good and bad, and it allows you to switch them up. You know, you can say, okay, I will never get a car payment because it's bad debt. Oh, you know, I'm going to get a car payment because it's good debt, because this car is brand new. It gets 61 miles to the gallon. You know, it beats my old car. It's good debt. So you go and get your car payment. What happened? 2 or 3 years ago, you saw it as bad debt. So don't allow yourself to say, regardless of what it is, now mortgage is typical. It's not good debt, but I will define it as something that is more needed than your average debt. There's a word that I'm trying to find. I can't think of it. Anyways, mortgage is a different level. You know, yes, if you don't have to get a mortgage, then don't get one. But still, debt is not good, period. So don't allow yourself to put any debt in good debt category. Never fully understood liabilities. Now, I'm not going to say too much on this because I have a whole section in this presentation that explains assets and liabilities. But again, like I said earlier, liabilities can seriously make or break saving or debt. And you guys will see about that here in a second. Not using self-control. Guys, regardless of what you're taught or what you learn, what YouTube videos you watch or books you read, the bottom line is, guys, is you have to want to get out of debt. You can read all you want to, but you have to take action on the knowledge that you learn. Here is the key element of most of getting out of debt and saving is your assets and liabilities, guys. Assets and liabilities. Definition for assets: a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality that can be owned or controlled to produce value. Property owned by a person or company regarded as having value and available to meet debts, commitments, or legacies. Guys, the second version is the definition has available to meet debts. You know, you're trying to get out of debt. What do you think you need? You need assets, guys. Liability, a thing for what someone is responsible, especially a debt or a financial obligation. A liability. It says especially debt, especially a debt, especially a debt. That's a liability, guys. The future sacrifices of economy benefits that the entity is obligated to make to the other entities. And equitable obligation is a duty based on ethical or moral considerations. Guys, give me some first give me some examples of liabilities. What are some examples of liabilities?
Savings account.
That's an asset.
Oh, you're on liabilities.
Yeah, I'm on liabilities.
Not having a savings account.
It's to give you guys a hint, it's almost the same thing as debt. So medical bills, mortgage, car payment, credit cards. Basically, like Dan said, anything that you have to send money to, anything that takes money from your pockets, when I mean by pockets, saving accounts, whatever, from you to them, anything that takes your money is a liability. Assets, guys, give me some examples of assets, which is a little bit more difficult than liabilities. It actually makes you get creative on ways you can find assets. Savings account. IRAs. Gold. If you have some gold, you're in really good shape because that'll take you a long way. We'll go with that one. CDs, beautiful. Home is if it's making you money. Even if you own your home and at the end of the year you have to pay the property tax, what is it at that point? It's a liability. So if that home goes from just a home that you're living in, that you're paying to keep up with, to becoming a rental, or you sell it, at that point it becomes an asset, yes. So it allows you to get creative with assets. Liability is really easy. Everything is can become a liability. But assets, guys, CDs, you know, when you allow yourself to put money in CDs or savings or anything like that, I got to stop but I got to stop myself because I actually have a good slide that explains that. So what does the scripture say about assets and liabilities? Proverbs 21:5, good planning and hard work leads to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts leads to poverty. Guys, it just nipped assets and liabilities right at its core. What is a hasty shortcut? So think about it this way. What do you guys do? When you take in a little bit of money that you have and you go and say, I want this car, what are you doing? You're taking a shortcut. You're not planning good. What is good planning, guys? Budgeting, saving. You're not working hard, because if you was working hard, you would have the rest of that money. You would plan good and you would save hard to get the rest of that money instead of going in there with a shortcut, saying, I have this little bit, can you bail me out? So this whole verse just nipped liabilities and assets right at its core. Now, how do you get out of debt, guys? Best way to escape debt? Snowball method. Now there's two ways that most people like to view it. Is you got the snowball method, and then you got like the upside down tree, to where people like to start with the biggest debt and go to the smallest debt. But from what I know and what I've read on, snowball debt is a little bit easier than the upside down tree. This will show you a short video, but before he does the video, he kind of speaks through it. I encourage you guys, if you have debt, this is the best way to get out of debt. You take your debts, smallest to largest, you list them smallest to largest, and you take a percent, whatever percent you can do. He does 10% minimum. So 10%, take 10%, and you start knocking off from smallest debt to largest debt until you knocked it all out. And what it'll allow you to do, as you knock off one debt, you can put that money from the first debt that you was putting into to the second debt, so you can build a snowball. So you knocked off one debt, you got a little bit more money that's coming in that you're not paying to someone, and you put both of those to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to do two things. Mentally, it allows you to keep going. Now, if you were paying the biggest debt first, you're paying on it, and you're paying on it, and you're paying on it, and you're just like, guys, it's just not working. I'm just going to accept that I'm going to have debt for the rest of my life. But if you start at the smallest one, you pay on it, you pay on it, you pay on it. Wow, it's knocked out. Mentally, you're I can do this, and you keep going. And it allows you, as it gets bigger, you're not even realizing, oh, man, I just paid $20,000 off in student loans versus the other way. And the second thing is, mathematically, it actually adds up to start at the smallest one. When you go through and you do the math, you would actually save more time, and you would save a little bit money by starting at the smallest one and going to the larger one instead of going to the larger one to the smaller one. So I didn't do the video. Can I go back? Will it allow us to watch that video? No? If not, that's okay. I mean, I pretty much just explained that video. It's just a good visual so people can see how he's doing it. But basically all he does is he knocks out the first one. He says in this video, have a garage sale, guys, knock out $350 in debt, and then take what you were paying to that $35, and then you add it to that $75. So now you're paying that 110 on there, and you're knocking that out, and then you go down to that $800, and then all that you're paying to the JCPenney and the Best Buy goes down to the Fresh Start. Then it keeps on going. Everything you was paying to the JCPenney, Best Buy, Fresh Start is now going to your medical bill. And as it gets bigger, you're still paying more on it, so it doesn't even feel like that the debt's getting bigger. And that's pretty much what he explains in there, but it was a great visual for you guys to see what he was doing and how he's doing. Okay. Romans 13:8. Pay all your debts except the debt of love for others. Never finish paying that. Beautiful verse, guys. Beautiful verse. So at this point, you're out of debt, guys. Congratulations. You guys knocked out this snowball. You guys did it. You're out of debt. So now, let's say you're trying to stay out of debt. You owe nothing except for, let's say, your mortgage. You know, of course, you might have your mortgage. But let's say you don't owe anything else. You just have your mortgage, and you're on the grind. You're trying to stay above float to where you're not having to go to get a credit card or anything like that. What are some ways that will allow you to stay out of debt? You know, instead of taking a step backwards, that hard work you just did, instead of going back into debt, let's keep you out of it. You're not yet at saving. You're not saving yet. You're basically living paycheck to paycheck. What are some ways to keep you on top? Beautiful. Budget, guys. Budget. That will that's night and day. How can you know what you're spending money on if you don't budget? How can you know if you're this close to going back in debt if you're not budgeting? You can spend $250 in takeout each month and not know it. Trust me, a lot of people do it. You know, we'll spend $50 and we're just like, where did $50 go? And we're just like, oh, you know, we try to eat out once a week, and next thing you know, we don't keep up with that, and we're spending $50 in takeout, which isn't a lot. But some people will spend $250 in takeout, and that's almost a third of some people's paycheck. So, budget, guys. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Learn, read, come to classes, watch YouTube videos, read seminars, articles, everything you need to know, guys. Educate yourself. Because if you don't educate yourself, how are you going to know what to do and what not to do? Know the Word. I've given clear-cut Bible verses that has nipped debt completely at its core, and how to stay out and to stay out of debt. The last Bible verse we just read said, "Oh, no one anything, you know, except for love." Know the Word, knows what it says. There is not one Bible verse that speaks highly of debt, not one. Just say no. At this point, regardless of what you're going through, just say no. You know, you might walk into JCPenney's and they offer you that credit card to get 10% off at the front register. Say no. If you're walking into JCPenney's to pay that much, I would assume you have the money to pay for it. So don't sign up for a credit card. Don't sign up for a credit card. You got little trickery scams, emails or text messages, phone calls. Guys, say no. Unless you do step 2 and 3, or especially 2, and you know what you're looking at or what the phone call's about. Hey, we can offer you $75,000 in life insurance. No, thank you. Sounds good, but no thanks, guys. Because next thing you know, you're in $75,000 in debt. So no, just say no. Pray before you sign. If it comes down to it, guys, and things are not working to the steps that you're taking, and you know you have to sign something, you know, hey, it's been rough 6 months, and I need a car. I gotta go get a car. Pray before you sign, guys. Pray before you sign. Absolutely. You follow all of the other 4 steps. You said no. You know, your car is just down. You've been trying to find a way to get to work, or you're just in that tight of a spot, and you have to absolutely get something. Pray before you sign. Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Guys, it's the knowledge. It's the knowledge. 99% of it is the knowledge. The other 1%, if you know the knowledge, the other 1% is the doing. But typically, if you know what you're doing, or if you know what to do, you're typically going to follow. your actions are going to follow what you know. You're not going to know not to do something and turn around and do it. Most likely not. If so, you need more than just a presentation to help you out. So just guys, just learn, learn. I was reading an article about finances, and the guy said you need to look at finances like chess. There is 121 million different ways a chess game can unfold. 121 million different ways. That is insane. You can be playing chess with somebody and it can go 121 million different ways. That is crazy. Treat your finances, just treat your life like chess. You can't just take this one presentation and run with it and say, this is what I'm going to go off of. Because this is based off of the game of chess that I'm playing in life, or the game of chess that Daniel's playing in life. So take this, take a book, take a YouTube video, take another article, take all these different ways, because out of every game you could be dealt, it could be 121 million different ways. So you can't just take this one thing and say, okay, this is how I'm going to go by it, because there isn't just one way of getting out of debt. There is not just John Quill and Daniel's way, their presentation to get out of debt. So take this knowledge and run with it, get more knowledge and more knowledge and more and more and more and more and more, until every single game that's dealt to you, you have a new strategy. Chess is all played with strategies. You have a new strategy to get out of it. This is only one strategy, because there's things that I haven't faced that you have faced. So this is just one strategy of getting out. But if you keep on going, you read this book, you read articles and stuff like that, any challenge that you're faced with as far as finances go, you can play the game with them. You can play that game with whatever obstacle you're trying to face. All right, guys, you're now past staying out of debt. You went through the grind. Let's say it took you 6 months to a year. You're out there grinding, living paycheck to paycheck. We all know the struggle. How do you get from staying out of debt to saving? It's a huge step. Probably the hardest thing you'll ever face is saving. Because getting into debt is easy. You can make a phone call in 30 seconds and get in debt. Staying out of debt, it's hard. Yeah, it has its challenges. But 99% of the people live paycheck to paycheck without debt. So staying out of debt isn't as hard. Saving is the hardest thing, one of the hardest things, because it's the rest of your life. It's not just, okay, I saved this, it's over. Once you get out of debt, it's over. Once you grind, once you're paycheck to paycheck, all right, my bill is matched up this month for what I had to pay, time for next month. But saving is ongoing. It is a battle till your wheels fall off. So how do you get from saving, or how do you get from staying out of debt to saving? Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts? Examples? Investing? But before you can invest, you have to have the money to invest, right? So, second job actually is a very nice point that I make here. Second job, it falls under something that I point out. It's another step that I point out in here. It's actually the first step. Good job. Guys, budget. It's funny what keeps you out of debt. The first step of keeping you out of debt, staying out of debt, was budgeting. The first step to getting you to save is budgeting. What does that tell you? Budgeting is a very key factor here. Set yourself a goal. You're sitting here budgeting. You see, okay, I can save $50 at the end of the month. So you're trying to not live paycheck to paycheck. You're setting yourself a goal. Okay, by the end of the month, I'm going to have $50 in my bank account. And you're setting yourself a goal. So you're budgeting. Increase your income. Beth said it. Increase your income. Pick up a second job. A rental, house rental, IRAs, CDs. You have to increase your income. If you increase your income, you're not going to save. I can tell you one reason why. Over the course of time, what's the word? What's the word that I'm looking for? Inflation. Guys, if you're making $50,000 a year now, in 10 years you're still making $50,000, you go to the store 10 years ago, bread was X amount of dollars. You go to the store 10 years from now, bread is X amount of dollars more than what it was 10 years ago. Everything 10 years from now, 5 years from now, is going to be more than what it is now. If you don't increase your income, even if you stay at the same income, you're going to be losing. You're going to be underneath of what you were. So you're making $50,000 10 years from now, $50,000 would be like $40,000. You're losing money. You won't be able to save if you're going backwards. So increase your income. I know I gave some examples, but I really want your brains to get routed around this huge step. Give me some examples of increasing your income. Part-time business, beautiful. You have a full-time job and you're making $30,000 a year, and you start a part-time job or a part-time business and it makes you an extra $15,000. Guess what? You just increased your income. Any more examples? Eat at home. Well, that'll actually be the next step. You're pointing out my steps today, aren't you? Any more examples? Yard sales. Something just on the side, guys. Like a part-time business, you're good at something. Hey, I'll do this on the side. You're increasing your income. We have a lot of certificates, basically, and I don't want to say it because it is my last step. Actually, I'm going to hold it off to the last. All right, third step, decrease your spending. Eat at home. Like I said earlier, you're spending $250 on takeout, and if you would eat at home, it would be $75. You just decreased your spending by almost 50%, guys. Decrease your spending. That also includes getting rid of any unnecessary things that is just eating up your wallet. Cable or giving your kids money. To make that point valid, make your kids do something to make them an asset instead of a liability. An asset makes you money. So let's say if your kid cut your grass and you say, okay, I'll give you $25 for cutting my grass, you're no longer just giving them money. They're not a liability to you. They're now an asset, because they're doing something for you that saves you time to do. So make whatever an asset. So if you can make something decrease and then you increase your income, you're in a whole nother ball game, Couponing. I know a few people that coupon and they get their groceries for almost nothing. It's like ridiculous. They have garages full of stuff, and you go and ask them how much did you get all that for? A few cents, because you just get stuff for so cheap. So if you have extra time, coupon. What is the word for it? Extreme couponer. Become an extreme couponer. You're decreasing your spending, and you might actually, within doing something like that, you might actually increase your income, because let's say if you get all that stuff for cheap, and then you can keep what you need, and you sell the rest, what are you doing? You're knocking out two birds with one stone, So get creative with this with ways, guys. I'm going to throw in a quick fact here. The average millionaire has 7 sources of income. 7 sources of income. If you go through your sources of income, how many do you have? Do you just have one, one daytime job? That's not enough. You got one daytime job, and then you got 10 liabilities that you're spending money on. You get in a fight, 1 times 10. What fight would you pick? You see what I'm saying? Increase your different ways that brings in money. Find at least 7. Find at least 7 ways that's, even if it's just an extra $10 a month. If you find something that's bringing you an extra $10 a month, what is that hurting? Nothing. It's helping you out. So it doesn't have to be much. You can't go, make $50,000 on every source of income. Otherwise we would all be at nowhere. So increase your income, decrease your spending, and non-touchable money. I'd have to say, personally, that is probably the best thing that's helped personally and business-wise, is non-touchable money. And what I mean by, can someone tell me what I mean by non-touchable money? Yeah.
When I had my home, I had set aside a few years of my mortgage. I was blessed to be able to do that after my husband passed. And my sister had told me, she said, set that money aside and do not touch it.
Mm-hmm.
I loaned that money out. I gave that money out. I lost my home. So I know for me, how do you establish, in your opinion, how do you establish appropriate boundaries so that you don't get off into your emotions with that kind of thing?
This goes along with the whole, good debt part. Debt doesn't, when you have good debt and bad debt, and just hear me out for a second, it allows you to put feelings and emotions with your money, or with money, period. You see a new car, instead of seeing the price tag on it, you get attached to it, and you get attached to this debt or anything like that. You cannot allow yourself to get attached to it. It is money. It's a physical thing. Do not allow yourself to get feelings for any of it, because at the end of the day, it's not yours anyway. It's God's anyway.
That's good.
So, but as far as some actual ways to help you with this, what we've figured out that helps us with it, and this will help you with the discipline part as well. Put your money in accounts. Go ahead. See if you know.
Municipal bonds and savings bonds.
Beautiful. Put your money in accounts like certificates, CDs, things that you have to keep your money in for a certain period of time. If you start a certificate for 5 years, we have several certificates for 5 years. And it seems like in the time, we're putting that money up, and that time we need the money, we can't touch it, period. I mean, there ain't no, we need this, we need it. Regardless of how bad you need it, you can't touch it. So if you allow yourself to go through the struggle of putting this money into those accounts, it will allow you to do. It will allow you to save, because typically most of those accounts has a minimum requirement that you have to put in each month. It has a minimum amount that you have to put in to even start the account usually. So let's say you put $1,000, it takes $1,000 to put in there, and then let's say it takes $200 each month for them to keep that open for you. It's making you save. Regardless of what you want to do, you have to save that money, non-touchable money. You can't touch it, but you're forced to save it. And second, 99.9% of those accounts, I mean, I would almost go to the extent to say 100%, because I don't see why else you would sign up to do an account like this. Almost every account like that has interest on it. So you're making money from your money sitting. So you're forced to save money, and you're making money on money that is just sitting there. Guys, that's just a recipe for saving. I mean, that's awesome, guys. You're saving money, and your money's making you money. I mean, how any other way can you get more simplistic than that? Non-touchable money will absolutely save your life. You will go through a hard time, Your car did break down. You have $10,000 in a certificate that you can't touch. How are you going to get through the grind? How are you going to make it through this hard time that you're going through? Huh?
Put your nose to the grindstone.
Exactly. But if you had $10,000 in saving, okay, well, I'll just pull it out of my savings and, fix the car. And that way you're using up what you have saved up. This way, it's not even an option, So you're forced to discipline yourself. Instead of you doing the discipline, you basically have, daddy over here saying, no, you can't touch this. Non-touchable money, guys. If you're at that point, I would encourage you to start an IRA, certificates, CDs, bonds, anything that you could think of that you have to keep your money in for a certain period of time, and it allows you to get a % back on interest. I don't even know what an annuity is. What's an annuity?
Kind of like you pay in a premium like you do for insurance, and when it comes to maturity, they start paying you out of that annuity the money that you put in it with interest. Only bad side to an annuity, there's a lot of terms and conditions on them where you can lose your money.
Well, that's with almost anything. You're talking about the stock market. I mean, you can always lose your money. It takes risk, of course. What I would say about an annuity is, first, read up on it, know the knowledge. Don't go anything that you do not know exactly what it is. Like right now, I wouldn't sign up for an annuity because I don't know what it is. I would have to do the research first, figure out what it is, talk to a couple of people on the phone, see what they think, blah, blah, blah. And if I think it's in my best interest where you would save some money and make money off of it, then go ahead. But IRA is basically, it sounds like an annuity to me. So, we have 2 IRA accounts, So I would assume that would be a yes for an annuity. But things like annuity, IRAs, bonds, certificates, beautiful. Guys, sign up for them. You can't go wrong with them. It does take time. It takes time. Saving takes time. And I have, at the end, there's a couple things that touches up on beautifully that I will explain at the end. What does Scripture say about saving, guys? The last couple verses that I've been giving you guys have been nipping everything right to its core. What do you think I'm going to do with saving? On the first day of every week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money in keeping with your income, saving it up so that when I come to collections, will have to be made. When I come, no collections will have to be made. Guys, he just spelled out saving. Just simply spelled it out. On the first day of each week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money in keeping. And he even gives you a time frame on the first day of each week. If you would follow this, if it's in the Bible and you follow that, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get some good results, guys. I mean, dishonest money dwindles away, but he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. How do you save? You don't just wake up one day and you got $50,000 in the bank account. Little by little. How many people have you ever known to go to the gas station and use a scratch-off ticket? Dishonest money dwindles away. Even if you win that scratch-off ticket, how long is it going to last? Because you haven't been disciplined to use that money wisely. So you get $50,000 in a scratch-off ticket, 2 or 3 years from now, you're out of money. The person that's been saving little by little has $50,000. You got swapped. So dishonest money dwindles away, but he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. Beautiful. Proverbs 13:22. The good leaves an inheritance to their children's children. Guys, you can't leave an inheritance unless you save. You gotta get on your high horse, guys. It's not about you. It's not about you anymore. It's not even about your kids. It's about your children's children. Grandchildren, it said that you I wouldn't say this, but you love your grandkids more than you love your kids. I mean, they're your grandkids. The good leaves an inheritance to their children's children. God, you have to save. That's the bottom line to it. Closing facts, guys. Money and possessions are the second most referenced topic in the Bible. Money is mentioned more than 800 times. Guys, money's not everything. Of course not. But if the Bible mentions money and possessions 800 times, it must be important. I was reading another article, and he said, it was an article written by a wealthy guy. He was a millionaire. And he said, he was an older gentleman in his 60s. And he said, there's 4 things in life that should only matter to you pretty much. And it is family, health, happiness, and money. What else do you need in life? Family? Well, family, that goes into that family because, he's my father. That is my family. So family, health, huh? Good. Did you say good save? Well, thank you. Nowhere in Scripture is debt viewed in a positive way. So you got 800 times that money and possessions are mentioned, and not one of those are positive? Why is that, guys? God wants you to be able to be in a good spot financially. He doesn't want you to scrape and grind your whole life. That's not what he wants. He wants you to be well off financially. Why? So you can bless other people, you can give, you can help. What is one of the top, at least the top 2 reasons why we're here? Bible speaking. Top three reasons. Of course, save lives is number 1. What? Give God glory. So, as I know of, one of the reasons is to feed the hungry and put clothes on people's back. How can you do that if you don't have money saved up? You can't. If you're fending for yourself, you can't help other people in this way, guys. So he wants you to be able to be well set in finances. 1,700 millionaires are made every day, not in a day. Guys, it takes a lifetime. It's like I said, it's one of the biggest things you will face is saving. You got 1,700 millionaires made in one day. Every single day there are 1,700 millionaires. Let's make all of us one of those 1,700. Speak on it, guys.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But it takes time. You have to do it. Another article says to save money, it's your daily habits. Your saved money shows your daily habits. It's an everyday battle. If you cannot control yourself enough to not go out to eat 3 times a day and you're still trying to save money, if you can save money, eat out 3 times a day, you're happy. One of the 4 things is you're happy and you're still saving money. So one of those 4 things that was mentioned, even if you can go out to eat 3 times a day and you save money, but if you aren't saving money and you're going out to eat 3 times a day, your habits, guys. What are your habits to save your money? The average millionaire files for bankruptcy 3 to 5 times. I added this one in here, guys, so it doesn't seem so daunting on you. Guys, if you can file for bankruptcy 3.5 times and you're still a millionaire, you can do it. You can do it. Millionaires file for bankruptcy 3.5 times. I think Trump did at least 3 to 4 times. Your average millionaire does file for bankruptcy. How is that even possible? And they're still millionaires. Yes, he had a huge blowout. Huge in his first beginning. He did. He went from nothing, went to riches, then back down to nothing, and then back up to riches. So if he can do that, why can't we do it one time? If he can do it twice, why can't you do it once, guys? Why can't we do this one time? So, book drawing time. Babe, do you want to? Thank you, guys. I hope you learned something, took notes. Hope everybody got a handout. If you have any questions, I will be here a little bit after. Real quick, before you do that, just shuffle them up. Chris Alonzo will be doing counseling, financial counseling. I gave you guys the steps, but because of time, I can't teach you how to do a budget. I can, but not today. You learned that you needed to do a budget, and he can teach you how to do a budget or how to do some of these things. So if you need help, there will be cards, and Chris is here. He's right here. Raise your hand, Chris. Everybody knows Chris. If you need help with that, guys, sit down with Chris, and he'll help you out. Go ahead. We got 4 books. It doesn't matter. It'll be the person will get to choose what book they want.
All right. Take a number. 459029.
459029.
That's you.
All righty.
Mr. Mike. All right.
Hold on. And this comes with it.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
financial awareness journal.
Oh, cool. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Take a number. 459021.
Miss Beth, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's good.
And if I would have listened in consumer economics in high school, we actually did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace in high school.
Really? That's awesome.
Take a number. 459031.
I read that book. It is
Is it-
by it hits the nail on the head. It's
Yeah, 'cause
perfect.
I've read The Total Money Maker, I read Financial Peace.
Yeah.
You gotta read-
Yeah. That book is great. Book is great.
Four five nine 028.
Awesome.
Henson chose you.
I'm gonna let you read it to me.
All right, guys. If you need a card, they'll be sitting up here. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so, any financial seminar you go to, they use basically these simple step principles.
Uh-huh.
Spend a lot more time because they got all day to do it or whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing that helps people, I think, as much or more than any of the principles that rarely will anybody do is to be transparent and tell what you do. What do you do? How did you start your business? What are you doing to maintain your financial control of that business and your personal things? That'll help people more than anything because everybody says, yeah, but how do I do it in practice?
That's a good question, guys. I'm gonna be honest, guys. It's. I would have to say, it's knowledge, but it goes with my sheer will. I just want different from my family. I'm not gonna allow anything to stop that. You know, I started a business to not make, $10 an hour. Last year, our business grossed over $85,000. Guys, you can ask us. We don't see any of that. It all goes to Henson's savings and, for us to retire and whatever else. It's sheer will. If you want to make a difference in your family tree, you'll do it. If you want to be mediocre, you'll be mediocre. It goes to, like Daniel told me earlier, it goes to your work ethic. I do about 20 hours a day, guys. I mean, if I'm doing 20 hours a day doing the same thing, I'm going to get good at it. Like they said, it's like 3,000 hours at one thing makes you a professional. So whatever you do all day, you're eventually going to get good at it. I'd have to say this is one of my number one goals, I sacrifice now so we can enjoy our future in the future, And just doing business, like I said, 90% of what I have to do is finances. That's just natural with it. And just with doing that, I've learned little tricks and nicks, having to read up on it. I do these accounts. You do these accounts. Eventually, if you put enough money in accounts that makes you interest on these accounts, you won't even need a job. You know, if you save up enough money and you put all that money into an account that makes you interest, and you have several of those accounts, that's all you'll be doing all day. And then you can spend all the rest of your time whatever hobbies you have. If you want to go do something, you can go do it. So knowledge, those accounts is my knowledge, guys. Then I work hard so I can be able to put that money into these accounts. So while those accounts are building wealth, I'm still working hard to put money in our pockets now so that can make up for the future. So knowledge and sheer work ethic, what do you guys want to be? Where do you want to be?
So on a practical level, what would you say, okay, did you start with a bond? Okay, let me think, process this like a woman. Okay, I have to have the money. So what am I doing to get the money? You basically explained that I need to either pick up an additional
Okay.
income. So what did you do on a practical level? What was the first thing that you desperately decided you wanted to invest in? And what are the steps that you took to get to that?
The very first step that we took was discipline. At the bottom line, that's all it takes. Because before we moved out of her mom's house, we were living at her mom's house about 8 months. Okay, before that time period, I had some money saved up. By the time we moved out, we had almost $30,000 saved up. Most of that was in non-touchable accounts. But
Tell them how much you were making an hour when you say 30,000.
I was making 12, and she was making 10.
And in what period of time did you say 30,000?
Well, I had already had some money saved up. And if you want me to go back into that, I was doing stocks, and I was doing Kroger stocks. I worked at Kroger. I worked at Kroger for about 2 years. As soon as I started working at Kroger, they allow you to get into their stock program. As soon as I started working at Kroger, I think 75% of my check was going to that stock program. So I was almost taking home nothing. But what I did take home was budgeted almost to the penny. I didn't do anything. You know, at that point I was senior in high school. I didn't do anything. You know, I did what I needed to do, went home, went to school, played sports, whatever. All that money was going in there. 2 years later, I had about $4,000 saved up in that stock market. Their stock market split. So Kroger stock market just about doubled. So that means I got twice the amount of money that I put into there because it had twice the amount of shares. So I had about $10,000 saved up. I took that, I put it into another account. At this time, it's still about another 8 months before we moved in. So about another year, it would include that $30,000. So $10,000 saved up, split into several accounts. Over that year, those accounts made extra money. While we're saving up money, you know, 2 incomes is always better than 1. There's actually a Bible verse that says 2 is better than 1. So, you know, $10,000 saved up, $12 and $10 an hour coming in basically just to savings, nothing else. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't do nothing. I mean, we were seriously so bored. But I told her, because at this point we figured out she was pregnant. So I told her, we're going to do this right. We're going to do this the best way possible. And the best way possible is to have a foundation. So before we moved out, we had $30,000 saved up. I pulled some of that money out of some of those touchable accounts, which is a huge penalty. But I pulled some of that money out so we could start a home. You know, it's not cheap to start a home because you have to pay for the down payment to get into a rental house. Then you have to pay, you know, wash and dryer, bed sheets, clothing, everything. You know, you have to pay for everything that's in your house, furniture. You know, soon after that, you know, I was working at where I was, went from $12 to $14, and then I got fired for something. I don't even remember what I got fired for. I got fired for something, but at this point I was already thinking about starting a business anyway. I got fired for something. And then I went and worked somewhere else. making really good money, but I never saw Destiny, ever. Or Destiny and Henson. I never saw them. They were almost MIA in my whole life because I was in that time of working, because I was working, 20 hours at, and I went into work around 6. It was really good money, but, like you said, money isn't everything. You got family, health, what was the third one? Happiness and money. So, money was coming in, but family was missing and happiness was missing. So I had to figure out a way to balance all three. Started my own business. I could come upstairs when I want to. I can go home whenever I want to. Just like today. Today's a regular day at work because stuff is listed online. We sell stuff all day long. So, I've probably made just as much money today as I would any typical day. So at this point, I'm able to spend a majority of my time upstairs with Destiny. So I figured out a way to balance everything. We're able to go on vacations whenever we want to because we can leave and work still being done. But 99% of that money is still going into savings, going into these accounts, going into Henson's college fund, going into our retirement fund. And that's it. You learn it, and it's easy to learn the things. You know what you have to do, but are you willing to do it? Are you willing to really sacrifice now for your future? That's what it comes down to, And that sacrifice wasn't even that long. It was a year since. It was a year since the new life had started. So I sacrificed for a year for $30,000. Of course, it went a little bit before that. Guys, that's not even that hard. If you had sacrificed a year, actually, I meant to put this in here. I guess I forgot. I want to give you guys a good challenge. I want you to go every month and spend as little as possible. As little as possible. Don't spend a dime unless it's necessary. And each month, try to beat that previous month. So you save this month, okay, the next month, how can I get below what I didn't spend the previous month? And see where you guys are at the end of the year. I guarantee you're going to see some money start adding up in that savings account. Then you can take that money that you have saved up and put it in one of these accounts. Get knowledge on that. You can put it in one of those accounts and do it over and over and over again. That's a challenge for you guys. That's a challenge. I want someone to call me a year from now or even 3 or 4 months from now and tell me how much less you spent those couple months than you usually do on a typical month-to-month basis prior to today. I really want someone to call me. That's what I really want. That's a challenge for you guys. So you guys did leave home with a challenge. Any other questions, concerns? Ask me, guys. I'm an open book. If you want to know something, now. You can always ask me, but now.
We tied 10%.
Uh-huh.
The next 10% should be to ourselves, I've heard.
I always go by the 50-40-30 rule, 50-40-20 rule, because the 10 is for saving. Huh? So 50% should be, you shouldn't spend more than 50% of your income, bottom line. 40% should go into savings, or 30% should go into savings, and 20% should be spent on activities, things to just, family and events, going out on vacation. So do not spend more than 50% of your take-home income. So if your bills are totaling 75% of your take-home income, do whatever you have to do to get it below 50%. And of course, get it below that if you can. I think our total bills only average up to not even 20% of our take-home income, because that's how frugal we live. All we have is our necessary bills. Everything else, so we basically do everything backwards. We spend 20 on our bills, what you have to pay for. We save about 50%, and the other, we probably even save more than that, because we went to Florida 5 times last year, and that was about that other 30%. So if you're spending more than 50% of your income on bills or payments or prescriptions or what are they called? Subscriptions, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. 10%. Because you got 50. No, it's not. It's in its own category because you got 50, 30. It's supposed to be 50. It might be either 50, 30, 10, and then the other 10 is automatically outside of that. Because if you do 50, 30, 10, that's 90% or 90, and then that 10% is not included in it because your tithe shouldn't be included in your income anyway. So if you already go ahead and pull out that 10, you have 90% left over. So you got 50, 30, 10, pull it out. So 10% is already, yeah, because.
So basically you're saying you're working with 90% of your income.
Yeah, because the 10% is not yours. None of it's actually yours, but 10% is actually not yours. So you're using 90% of your income. And you can divvy that up however you want to. You can do, I wouldn't ever do more than 50% of your income to bills. So leave that 50, but you can do 50, 20-20, save 20%, spend 20%. You can do, 50-10-20 or 50-10-20. You save 10%, you spend, or you see what I'm saying? You can split it up however you want to split it up. But I would leave that 50 at 50. Because once you get higher than that, you're going to get close to almost going into debt, because then you'll be at the stay out of debt, because you'll be living paycheck to paycheck. 50 of 90. 50 of 90. Because 10 is automatically rolled out as not even an option to touch. So it should be 10, 50, 20, 10. Because 10 comes before anything. That's the tithe. Don't spend more than 50% of your income on bills. Save 20%, spend 10%. So 10, 50, 20, 10.
So you're living out of the 90, you're dividing the 90.
Yes, exactly.
That's all you're saying.
Exactly. And I wouldn't divide that 90 more than 50% of that to your,
Total bill paying, whatever,
yeah.
whatever.
Anything after that is optional.
That up, yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Exactly. Good question.
I would like to share a strategy that I learned in another financial.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then at the end, they gave out, instead of the book drawing, they kind of had money in the big brown envelope.
Yeah.
Kind of share that mindset, they getting that envelope. But you get 12 of the big envelope, brown envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And you do January through December. And then you tape up January, and no matter what receipt you get, put it in that envelope. And then at the end of the month, you pull those receipts out, you add them up, and you put that amount in front of the envelope, big brown envelope.
And that's how much you spent.
That's how much you spent.
Yeah.
That's that money that you're spending. Just
Yeah, I like that.
eating out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you do the same with February, and then you compare those two amounts.
And see,
Yeah.
what can yeah. I explained, yeah.
I did it for like 3 months, 4 months.
No, that's,
That I got back to that 10%. I tried. That's all. But it is challenging, but it's a nice visual. And like I said, they planted that seed.
that's actually a really neat idea. I said budget. I didn't explain how to budget, because we didn't have the time today. But that's a really neat way to budget. Anything, we do it with our credit card statement, because 99% of the time you use is credit card. So I'll go back through the month and see what we spent, and I'll budget that up. But, you can use the backs too. But it's the same thing. So if you're wanting to know how to budget, you have to keep up with how much you spent. We do ours weekly and then monthly. So at the end of the week, we figure out, because then it just be really tedious at the end of the month to go through and add up everything. So we go through each week, we figure out how much we spent. You do that 4 times, and then at the end, you add all 4 of those up. So it splits the time up, you know, so you're not just sitting down for hours trying to figure out the budget that you did for that month or how much you spent that month. So that's a really neat idea. You put all the receipts in a bag, and you write on the front of the bag how much you spent. And then you basically compare, as you go along, you compare and you see what's taking up most of your money. You know, so you see, okay, I spent $300 on takeout in March, but no wonder we had more money in January because we weren't only spending $50, and you see where your money is starting to go. Yeah. Swiping, but not watching. I like that. So neat idea on how to budget. I told you guys to budget. She just gave a neat idea on how to budget.
There's 4 or 5 budgeting ways, but one that I teach from Dave Ramsey is an envelope system. You actually get a small little bind, like a coupon binder, and you get envelopes. Put your gas bill on the envelope. You put what that gas bill is, that receipt or the statement, you put it in that envelope with that amount of money, and when it's time to pay it, you take that envelope out. That way you account for every penny
that's been spent.
What?
Unless you're a pastor, because like you can't be saying, "Oh, you're in St. Thomas." I'm sorry, we can't budget for that, so we're not going to count. You know what I mean? Or someone calls and says, "Hey, I turned my electricity off." You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
So you can't, there's some things you can't budget for.
Oh yeah.
You do the best you can,
Well,
That's where the savings comes into play.
that's
You
why
know.
you have a savings envelope.
Yeah.
You can label it emergency fund or.
That's because Dave Ramsey teaches.
emergencies are on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Seriously, most of the time,
I've done that for 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to spend money you didn't expect to spend.
And I can vouch for that because, the business is the way, our income, and the business money fluctuates like crazy. One day, one month the business might make 6,000 to 8,000. One month it might make, 3 or 4 or 2 or 1. And it's like ridiculous. Like it's like a roller coaster versus, an hourly paid job to where you make this amount regardless of anything. The best option that I can have, the best advice I can have for the people that have a flex income is to basically get so far ahead of the game that it really doesn't matter how low of an income you had for that month. So at this point, if we had a very bad month, let's say we didn't bring in anything, it really wouldn't affect us too much. At that point, I mean, you want to be so far ahead of the game as far as savings, and getting to that point is a little tricky, but if you have a flexible income, get so far ahead of the game that it doesn't matter how much you bring in off of that month. That's getting from that stay out of debt mode. You're actually in that savings mode if you're being able to say, okay, we didn't bring in near as much as we usually do because we're on a flexible income. But we have so much saved up that month really didn't even, our bills are going to get paid still because we have so much in savings. That month didn't really just affect you immediately. Versus someone living paycheck to paycheck and they're on a flexible income. Well, I didn't have the money this month and I got to, you see what I'm saying? So get so far ahead of that flexible income that flexible income isn't even going to affect the way you run your finances.
And I know the answer, but how do y'all budget with your business? Do you make a written budget?
Yes, written budget. I write everything down. People say like millionaires don't penny pinch. Especially millionaires penny pinch, guys. How do you think they became millionaires? Every penny spent is looked at, and then it's evaluated. How can you, we spent this, was this really needed to be spent on? Every dollar is calculated, and it's evaluated. Is it needed or is it not needed? You have to do that with personal finance. I do it business-wise, but I also do it personal-wise. We spent such and such on this, was that needed? Was that, or was it not needed? And you account for every penny, and then you evaluate every penny. Any other questions? Concerns? I'm guys, ask away. Ask away. If I don't have the answer, somebody else. Daniel, do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a mic. That's. Yeah, but I mean, if they got questions, they got questions.
If you guys want to stay, then I know it's getting kind of late. We said 2 o'clock, so maybe that's the time we were going to stop. I don't know. But you see 2 arrows, which I think he put that on there just because it looks cool. But I kind of take it as his job is completely different than mine. I'm an hourly guy, so the way I do things is going to be different from him. So yeah, hourly job. I think work ethic. And that's a big one to me. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel because it'll take a long time, but basically, in less than 3 years where I currently work, which is charter, I over doubled my income. Even now, I doubled my income. I have a company car. There's just all these things that have happened, but I would attribute to my work ethic. That's something my dad put in me, was to work hard and go beyond. That's something that in my dad's job, they actually have a program called Go Beyond the Milestone or something. They give you extra things. But I just took that to heart. And so what I would do is I would find the bosses or whatever before I left. This is one thing they liked. Was before I left, I'd actually go to them and say, hey, I'm clocking out. Is there anything you need before I clock out? That's something big. Things like that, just little things. And like you said, you can get education. Look up those little things. And take them to heart, especially if you work in an hourly job. Those kind of things will go a long ways for the bosses, and they'll notice you. And it took years. Like I said, it took years for me. And that's one of the things, too, is discipline, because there's even several times my family said, get out of there, because I had a real bad boss for a year. I mean, she was terrible. So bad that the HR department came and literally fired her. I mean, it was an investigation and all that stuff. And a lot of people left. Well, I didn't leave. I listened to God. I prayed about it. And everyone else was telling me to leave. And usually when your family and people were telling you to leave, you get excited, like, oh, I can quit my job.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I can get out of this. but if you pray about it and see where God leads you, because you don't know what the next step is. You don't know that, right beyond that door might be something a lot bigger. And I'm so glad I stayed, because when she left, I became the supervisor. So it was big for me. And that just has to do with the work ethic and the knowledge. And not just knowledge with this, with disciplining yourself for finances, but just better yourself in general things. Like if you don't understand like Excel, you don't understand like Microsoft Suite, maybe that's something you learn. And you can go on YouTube. If you have access to YouTube, you can learn all this stuff for free. I learned almost everything I know from YouTube. It's amazing. And those kind of things, that is what propelled me way beyond everybody else, just my little knowledge of certain things. And like I said, I went from making, just a few bucks over the minimum and to over double now in just a few years. So it's been an amazing journey. But just gaining new knowledge. If you're stuck somewhere, like you said, you want to raise, you can't get out of something unless you raise it, unless you do something different. It goes back into insanity, is thinking that you're going to keep doing the same thing year after year.
And expect different results. Yeah.
You're not going to get different results. You have to change. And one of those is getting new knowledge. It might be changing your job. It might be going to your boss and being like, I've done it too, where they gave me a position that didn't work. And I went to them and I said, I'm looking for different work. Like, I got to make more, period. And they wanted to keep me. And I knew they wanted to keep me because of how I did things. So I bettered myself. I learned new skills. I'm doing something now I never thought I would be doing. I'm a construction coordinator. I mean, I'm just not made for construction work, but I actually coordinate the work, and I'm learning tons of new stuff. Every day I'm learning something new. I never thought in my wildest dreams of doing what I'm doing now. It's not something I plan on staying doing, and that's a big thing too. And that's what I tell people. You know, I have a guy, he's been in the same job, a construction job, for 10 years. I make more than he does, and I just started that job. He's been doing it for 10 years, and the reason it happened was because the way that I came into the job, and then I shot up real far, and then I actually went slightly down by like 50 cents, and then scooted over, but I got a company car, so it all matches out anyway. But it's just opportunities. I took every opportunity I could, and you know, take opportunities that you can. If you think, oh, I can't take opportunities, I don't know something. Take some college courses. There's actually, I know Columbia State, they offer some free courses or some really cheap courses for things like Excel and all that stuff. That's big right now. If you need some computer skills, they actually do classes for people. If you have access to YouTube, go on there. I mean,
YouTube
amazing.
is beautiful.
It's amazing.
YouTube is beautiful.
There's really no excuse.
That's 99% of my knowledge right there is YouTube.
There's really no excuse in this day and time not to learn something, because you have it on your phone and you can look it up. And then sometimes I do that all the time. I listen to podcasts. I love video. Everyone knows I like video. Most things I learn is from YouTube, and even during work, I'll have podcasts going, I'll have YouTube stuff going. They talk about video work. They talk about stuff. You're constantly bettering yourself. And if you want to raise your income, that to me is a key, is you have to better yourself. The only reason I'm where I'm at is because I constantly learn something new. And I tell my bosses that. Like, I let my bosses know, and as a supervisor, that's something I looked at too, is people that come to me and say, hey, I know how to do that, or I can learn that. That's a big thing. I may not know it now. That's what I told one of my bosses. I don't know it now, but I will learn it, period. Mm-hmm. So it's, you know, that's kind of been my journey the last few years, is going from the runt, not knowing how to use a pallet jack, to supervising the entire materials, and I was over like $30–40 million worth of materials, and then I shot over to construction, which is actually a really good job, and from there, you know, I plan to just keep going up. You know, I don't plan on staying where I'm at. So that's something encouraging. You know, if you go his route and starting your job, then you know, that's a good thing. And if you do the hourly thing, that's cool too.
Yeah, hourly is great. Even if you plan on going that route, guys, find something that you guys love to do. Don't do something that you dread going to do every day. You know, like, you can ask my wife, I'm excited for tomorrow. Like, tomorrow is my Friday, Tuesday is my Friday, Wednesday is my Friday, Thursday is my Friday, and Friday is my Friday, Saturday is my Friday, and Sunday is my Friday. I don't have, we got to go, you know, today's Monday, I got to get up and go to work. Man, I'm ready to lay down Saturday so I can wake up on Monday to go to work. You know, I absolutely hate taking days off because I absolutely love what I do. It's not a job. It's not working. It's a passion. Yeah. You know, I enjoy everything that I do. You know, I get to make up whatever, my own schedule and everything like that. So whatever you go to do, hourly, start your own business, work, you know, wherever you work, do something that you absolutely love to do. Other than that, I mean, you're just wasting your time. You know, you're working for somebody else's dream and not yours. You know, so find what you love. Just do a little bit of soul searching and do it. Don't ask nobody. Of course, your spouse. You know, maybe. Of course, you know, make sure it's okay. Can you do this? Hey, you know, I want to quit my job to start a business that I will absolutely love to do. Of course, talk it out. See what you guys can do. If you can't do it yet, get yourself in a place to be able to do it, and do it. Stop spending 5, 10, 15, 20 years working for somebody that you don't even like to see every day. You know, make it happen, guys. Yeah.